Oh boy. Someone stop the tape. This man needs to be locked away. Don't just stand there, Dr. Dre. Operate. We have an emergency, ladies and gentlemen. We have an emergency, and it is the emergence of a potential matchup between Canelo Alvarez and Bud Crawford, all put on by Turki Al-Shade, potentially in December/January. If this is a reality, this will be the most important fight in boxing this year. The breakdown. Let's go. Now, before I get everybody in the comments, and you're probably already there, you're probably already on the words, but Wade, typing that E, you better capitalize the W and be sharp with that A minor. Okay, I'm too caught up in the Drake and Kendrick beef. But before you start typing that, yes, I know the undisputed heavyweight title is on the line in just a couple of weeks. We will be live for that. Make sure you're here. W.A.D.E Concept Watch Party going down May 17th. Usyk and Fury. I understand we have Gervonta Davis, Frank Martin coming up. I understand that we have the 5v5 and we may not get Viejo and Better Beef, but we may get two of the pound-for-pound top 3 boxers in the world fighting each other again. Yes, the other time we had it, Bud Crawford, Errol Spence. Top 5 pound-for-pound, they went at it. Bud gave him that work. Took him fishing and ripped the line from him. Hook, line, and sinker. Put him down. Body bag. But this time, it's a little different. This time, Bud Crawford, who fights at 147, now moving to 154, is looking to take on Canelo. So, Canelo, you want payday? Payday. I know that. Alvarez. And apparently, again, we're just hearing reports about this. This is not official in any way, but it is a topic of conversation because Canelo has said many times he's not going to go down past 160, and I don't think he's going to go past down 168. So you'd essentially have Terrance Crawford coming up to 168. And again, usually you would never see anything like this because of mandatories that Canelo will have to take or would have to take at 168. Same for Crawford. And on top of boxing promoters and commissions and all that's being done away with Saudi Arabia essentially coming in and Turki Al-Shade taking over the sport of boxing with the help of guys like Eddie Hearn and Frank Warren and whoever else now. PBC apparently isn't getting involved. Everybody is starting to turn their eyes toward Saudi Arabia. And here's the big thing. Saudi Arabia is now running cards in the United States. This August card coming up. I didn't even mention the fact that that is one of the bigger cards of the year that Terrance Crawford is also on. Versus a dangerous Israel Majamov. That guy is sneaky good, but you got Isaac Cruz on that card, Tim Tszyu and Virgil Ortiz, Andy Cruz, Darrell Miller. It's also an indicator that Turki Al-Shade is okay with moving some of these events to the United States and putting on not only great blockbuster cards like he has been doing, but doing it outside of Saudi is a big deal. And if you're going to do Canelo and Terrance Crawford, it probably needs to be here in the U.S. Potentially another lap around Jerry World for Canelo. And yes, there's the argument that it takes away from the big time meaning of the belts and all that. And I'm of the mindset that we have so many damn belts in this sport that if we could just consolidate things, stuff like this could happen alongside defending belts, and mandatories wouldn't be such a huge thing. Committees and commissions could all just get together and have a good time. That's not only what would make dollars, that would make sense in the sport of boxing. And somehow there's been a difference between the two, but this is what we want. Now, the problem with this is that Canelo may be the one guy that does 1000% control his own destiny here. He does exactly what he wants in these time periods, because a lot of people want the David Benavidez fight, right? A lot of people wanted that instead of the Jaime Munguia fight. It was still a good fight for Canelo, and he showed he's still at that high level, but that will be the biggest hurdle in this. It won't be Crawford saying yes. It won't be Turki Al-Shade getting a stadium, getting people to show up. It'll just be the question of if Canelo will say yes. And let's not make any mistake in what I'm trying to say. I don't think Canelo is in any way scared of David Benavidez or Terrance Crawford. I think it's just a matter of who comes up with the right amount of money for Canelo to say yes to, and it just so happens that the Saudis are throwing more money at this than I do cans of Celsius to feed my caffeine addiction. No, seriously, it's a real problem at this point. What I'm trying to tell you is the Saudis have made everything happen like this, and it's usually because of the money involved. I don't have any doubt that Turki Al-Shade can get this done on 2 of 3 fronts. Crawford's going to say yes. He's going to find a venue. It's just a matter of what does Canelo want to do. And honestly, if you look at this fight versus the David Benavidez fight, it may be a better matchup for Canelo than David Benavidez is. Benavidez Massive for 168. Good worker on the inside. Great gas tank. More power than Jaime Munguia. And again, I said bigger at 168. He probably walks around in the freaking 190s. He's a monster for that weight division. Still don't know how he makes the weight, but that is a tough matchup. Not one that Canelo is by any means just going to get washed in. I think that's still very competitive. But when you look at Terrance Crawford, he might be a walking around close to 160 pounder, let alone 168. There's a size advantage there for Canelo, which he has not had in a very long time. And while Bud is a nasty finisher, power puncher for the lower weight class, it's yet to be determined how that ability is going to be carried as he moves up weight. Canelo still showed last couple of days ago with Jaime Munguia, he still has precision. He still has big time power. Put a left hook, right uppercut on Munguia's chin, and it put him to the ground. Some people saying that Canelo showed him some mercy in the later part of that fight as well, and he probably could have ended it any point he wanted. Regardless, to me, this would be a more favorable matchup to Canelo than David Benavidez, and it would still be one that brings big-time box office. I mean numbers on numbers. Because, yes, predominantly Canelo, but also if Bud Crawford gets through August 3rd, his star is continuing to rise just like he is throughout the weight class. A one-off matchup for the fans. A fantasy-booked fight is not something I think is going to hurt the sport as much as maybe pure boxing analysts think it will. And yes, the weight disparity is a massive thing, and that's going to be a mountain for Bud to overclimb because, yes, Bud has all of the skill. And he showed an ability to stay poised in the biggest moments in that fight with Errol Spence, a moment that he had never seen under the lights, he had never been before. And that's what you get with a Canelo fight. How do you perform on the biggest stage with, quite frankly, the man that has carried boxing in this generation and is, again, top 3 pound for pound? Both these guys are. It makes all the sense in the world if you're Canelo and you're kind of checking off boxes of, you know, what else is there for me to do? Well, yes, I would like to see the David Benavidez fight as well. This one is all the money. We're talking about all the accolades, everything that Canelo has done in his career, all the checked boxes. What else is there? It's to take on one of this generation's best. And not this time being at the weight disadvantage like he was against Viejo at 175, but calling up Bud Crawford to determine that battle and potentially that passing of the torch, or maybe not yet, between one of the greatest boxers ever and the face of boxing, you could say, for the last decade or so, in Canelo Alvarez, to potentially a growing face of boxing and pound for pound great in Terrance Crawford right now. This fight needs to happen. I don't care how you get it done. I don't even care where you get it done, even though preferably in the U.S. that would be amazing. Thank you, His Excellency Turkey Al-Shade. That right there would cap off a massive year for boxing in 2024 if it's in December. And if it's in January of 2025, what a way to start the year. Boxing's back, ladies and gentlemen. It has been for a while. With now Saudi Arabia getting in the mix and the best fighting, the best super matchups and blockbuster events, it's here to stay. Hop on the bandwagon now or get left behind. But the big question is, does it actually happen? Our hearts have been broken before, multiple times over in the sport of boxing, over potential matchups that never could be the case. But this one seems real. It's all up to the man with the crown, Canelo. But do they get down? And if they do, is it at 168 pounds? Canelo versus Bud Crawford. Who wins? Does it happen? I don't have those answers, but guess we'll find out.